terms of setting up an informational interview, the first thing you want to do is think about who it is you want to interview. Think about the people you admire, famous or not famous. Who would you interview and why? Would it be someone like Bill Gates, the President of the United States, the creator of Facebook, the person who is in charge of Yahoo, or the richest man in the world, Warren Buffett? What types of questions would you want to ask the person you choose to interview? What would be your goals for interviewing them? And what would you hope to gain from that experience and the time that you spent with them? List 3 people right now you would want to interview. Now, instead of people, list 3 types of jobs you would love to have. Would you like to be chief engineer? Would you like to be a CEO? Would you like to be a research scientist? Would you like to be an artist? List 3 different types of jobs right now you would like to have. Lastly, list 3 companies or organizations or institutions where you would like to work. Look at these 3 lists, and from that, decide at least 2 to 3 people who you want to contact for an informational interview. Now, when should you conduct an informational interview? The best time is before you begin your formal career search process, because this is when you want to start to gather information and really start to prepare for the sorts of jobs that it is you want to seek. The best time to do an informational interview is when you're not looking for a job. When we are looking for jobs, we tend to possibly appear a little bit more desperate and more stressed, but when we're at ease and we're in the process early on of our career management, it's best to do it at that point. An informational interview helps you to begin to explore careers. So again, doing it early on rather than later is important. Also think about the fact if you're ready to start networking, if you're ready to start meeting other people, learning about different organizations or about different positions, this is the time to actually start thinking about conducting an informational interview. I highly recommend that you do this months before graduation or months before your postdoc appointment ends, not towards the end of it. How do you schedule an informational interview? Well, first you determine who you want to interview. Think back to the slide we just did 2 slides ago. Do you know these people directly, or do you know someone who knows them? Meaning, can you contact them on your own, or would it be helpful for you to have someone provide you with an introduction? If you need someone to help you with an introduction, then ask for that through either LinkedIn or email. And if you don't know the person, email him or her directly. If you don't know anyone who can introduce you to them, then go ahead and contact them on your own. What's important to do is to ask for 30 minutes of time that's convenient for them and offer to either pay for their coffee or their lunch or their dinner. This way, you will show that you respect their time, that you know that they're giving freely of their time. So for you to offer to pay for coffee or a meal is extremely important. On this slide, you'll see a sample email invite. You can use this to help you think about how to structure your email or your correspondence with someone so that you can ask them for an informational interview. Again, make sure that you ask for only about 30 minutes of their time, that you greatly appreciate the fact that they're considering this, and again, offer to pay for coffee or for a meal. Now, before you go on the informational interview, there's a few things that you're going to want to do in order to prepare for it. Number 1, dress appropriately. Business attire is required. Take a professional notebook and pens with you. Make sure you take money or a debit card so that it's clear that you're going to be the one paying for the coffee or the meal. Take a business card, and if you don't currently have any business cards, there are a lot of inexpensive companies on the web or either locally where you can go and you can make one. You can even go to Staples or OfficeMax and get some business cards made. Basically, on that business card, you're going to want to have your name, your phone number, your job title, just a way for people to contact you. Make sure you have some prepared questions, and before you go, practice these questions either on your own or with someone else. Also practice how to start. When you meet someone, what are you going to say? Hello, Dr. Jenkins. It's very nice to meet with you today. Thank you so much for taking the time. I just have a few questions that I want to ask of you, and if we can go ahead and get started, just really think about that. Make sure you have directions in terms of where you're meeting the person with whom you're having the informational interview, and get there early. Get there ahead of time. Confirm the time and the location the day before you have this informational interview. Just send the person an email and say, again, thank you for taking the time to meet with me tomorrow. I look forward to meeting you at the Starbucks on Six Forks at 1 p.m. You also want to make sure you know what the person you're interviewing looks like. So if you don't, you may want to, in that reminder email the day before, let them know that you're going to be wearing a red jacket or what have you, but make sure you have a way to identify the person so you both aren't searching for each other and it takes away the awkwardness of that situation. Now we're going to move on to the sorts of questions that you'll want to consider asking during an informational interview. But please keep in mind that this is your interview, so you decide what questions are best to ask, but we're going to provide you with a video of what an informational interview could possibly look like and the types of questions you might want to consider asking.